Sales Director at the Orchestra Group. Today, we are going to focus on top 10 wireless threats around your office. We will start with just one slide about the company. Orchestra Group was founded by 2018. We have 3 offices in Tel Aviv, New York City, and Europe, more than 45 employees. And we have 3 main product lines: the Harmony platform, Harmony Iot, that actually deals with the wireless airspace, and Harmony Purple, which is a virtually vulnerability prioritization tool, VPT tool. We are working with many partners all around the world, including EMEA, North, South America, and Asia, and quite a big diverse of verticals. While we are speaking about the wireless, the airspace of the organization, we are dealing with so many devices. If you will have a look around you, you will be able to see that you can locate many devices, smart connected devices, and it doesn't really matter if it's your private location or office, your premises. Like Bluetooth keyboards, mouses, our laptops, our mobile devices, smart TV, smart lights, detectors, they're just all over. Gartner is saying that there are about 30 billion devices in the world today, and this is a huge number, and therefore many organizations are paying attention to these devices. In order to deal with all the threats that we are going to talk about, we have developed a solution named IoT that is actually providing 3 main functionalities. First one is full visibility about the airspace. Secondly, is detecting very accurately malicious and suspicious activities in the airspace. And thirdly, not only detecting them, even mitigating them in real time. Now, let's drill down to the threats. So the first threat that we are going to talk about is the misconfigured network access points. We have found out in many cases that by mistakes, access points of corporate networks were configured with weak encryption, or access points that are actually publishing encrypted and non-encrypted networks. This is a threat from the organization point of view, because if it's a weak encryption, there are a lot of tools all around like this one that actually can assist the attackers to crack the encryption and to retrieve the password, and then naturally the attacker can connect to the corporate networks. If it's an access point that is publishing to encrypted and non-encrypted network, in many cases we saw that there are access points with vulnerabilities that the attackers can exploit and actually move from non-encrypted network to the encrypted network, and this is naturally a huge risk from the organization point of view. We had a case in the past where we had a bank that had a video conference system that was deployed in the organization. It was misconfigured with the access points on it, and actually it provided the attackers the ability to actually connect to it and to control the video conference system, enabling microphones and the cameras and so on, and all of this due to misconfiguration. Sorry for that. Something is stuck. Okay, just going to, oh, there we go, sorry. Just moved a bit more than I expected, but we are going to the presentation. There we go. The second one that we are going to talk about is a rogue access point, and here we're talking about a malicious insider or a bright visitor or even a clueless employee that can connect to an unauthorized, take access point and connect it to the corporate network. Naturally, this access point doesn't have all the proper security of the organization. And because of it is connected to the corporate network, the attacker can use it as the bridge to the most secure networks. And we had a case like this in an airport where a contractor, without knowing, connected an access point to one of the important and very secured networks, and naturally by doing that allowed the attackers to actually get access to this network and to hack employees' data. The next one is insecure enterprise IoT, and here we are talking about many smart connected devices that are all over, and some of them are connected to corporate networks, and they can actually can be used as a bridge to get access to the corporate network. There was a very a famous case of a casino in Las Vegas that a fish tank, a controller of a fish tank, was connecting to the corporate network, and because of that, the attackers could take advantage and get access to via the fish tank to the most secure networks, and they just leaked many databases about their clients, and it was a total disaster, and all of it because the fish tank, the smart fish tank, was connecting to the network, and there was no password to reach it. The next one is suspicious devices. There are many devices out there like Alpha and Panda, if you have heard the names before. There is no reason for these devices to be in the airspace. Naturally, the Harmony IoT is providing just a quick and very immediate notification if one of these devices is in the airspace. Innocent users usually do not use such devices. These devices are very, very cheap. You can hold them in your pocket or in your bag. You don't need to have any special tools, and naturally the attackers are taking advantage by using these tools that, again, no reason for them to be in the airspace of the organization. The next one is an insecure connection. We are talking about the fact that attackers are actually looking for all the places where many corporate devices are concentrated, like in the headquarters, branches, and so on. Naturally, when you have so many devices, there can be dozens to hundreds and sometimes even thousands of devices. There is a high chance that few of them will make the mistake and actually will connect to external networks or hotspots that are in the area. And from the attacker's point of view, once one of the corporate devices is connected to it, even a mobile device of an employee is connecting by mistake to an external network or a mobile hotspot of the attacker, then the attacker can actually take the control of the device and just use this device as the entrance into the most sensitive networks once this device will connect back to the corporate networks. And this is a huge threat from the organization point of view. So you actually, out of the attacker is just trying to hook one or few devices, and once this device is hooked, naturally, when this device will be connected to the secured networks, then the attacker can use it in order to reach the most sensitive networks. The next one is wireless network hacking, and here we are talking about the fact that the attackers are using many tools in order to get access to the corporate networks by using the passwords. You have many tools that you can see here at the bottom to guess the network and to use attacks like brute forcing of the WPS PIN code that is a very severe vulnerability, and many times the organizations are not disabling it, and it gives the organization, the attackers, the ability to actually to crack the password and to get the access to the corporate networks. There was a very famous case of Russian hackers that were arrested while they were parking in a van nearby a research center in the Netherlands. This research center was actually investigating some kind of poison that was used to assassinate an ex-KGB spy, and they were arrested during the attack via the Wi-Fi while they were parking in a van nearby this center. There was a big conference, a press conference explaining all the steps of making this attack, but this is a very, very serious breach. The next one is a man-in-the-middle attack, and here we are talking about popular Wi-Fi attacks that are actually convincing a victim to connect to the attacker's network, pretending to be one of the access points of the organization. You have many flavors like Karma, Evil Twin, known beacons, and so on. All these tools can be used. They are very, very cheap, by the way, and can be used to make this, to perform this attack. This attack is very, very serious because once the device, the victim is connected to the attacker, it's a game over. Then the attacker can run scripts on the device and just infect it. And there are many, many tools. Some of them are, by the way, even open source. We had the case, Harmony IoT detected an attack like this in an airport, a different one than the first one. In this airport, there was a network of one of the mobile operators in this country that was actually was not offering any service in this airport, but there was a network with this name, and they just hooked passengers' mobiles while they were passing by, and infected their devices. And that was something that Harmony detected very easily due to the difference in reference to other networks in this airport. Another one that we are going to talk about is the remote code execution attack. This is the holy grail of all the attacks. This is to run a code remotely on the victim device without even the victim be aware to it. Here, the attackers are using the fact that all the devices, such as laptops and smartphones and IoT devices, they have wireless chips embedded into them. And sometimes, from time to time, the attackers are finding vulnerabilities on these chips. And while they were just sending packets to the air, and the device is close to it, they can take the control of the wireless chips, and from this point onward, again, they can run a piece of code on the device, take the control of it, and so on. There were few cases in the past, like Broadphone and the Qualcomm, and this is an illustration. So the attacker is just publishing packets to the air, taking the control of this chip, and then from this chip, he can actually spread to other devices and so on. This is very, very severe. And sometimes we hear that the attackers are a few steps ahead of the vendors of the chip, and therefore they can create a lot of damage. The last one that we are going to talk about today is the surveillance devices. This and another one. Surveillance devices are very, very small. They don't need too much power, and therefore the attackers that are actually would like to steal data and to leak sensitive data can use them in order to actually make the attack. They are a lot of small devices, very cheap. We have a case where a very big insurance company is hosting their data center in a third-party location, and they had a case where one of the people that had physical access to it just stick a dongle into one of their servers, and actually created a detour, an alternative route via the air, passing by all their wired protection. And naturally, the Harmony IoT, while we are watching the airspace, we are detecting each and every suspicious activity on the air, and therefore they're using our solution these days. And as I promised, that's the last one. We're talking about non-compliance with key industry standards and guidelines. There are two very famous guidelines of PCI, DSS, and the NIST guidelines that are quite a long time in out there. Lately, this year, we had two new. One of them was published by the Chief Security Office in the UK of UK, and another one, the Office of the Inspector General in the US. This one, by the way, is very new from the last few weeks. At the end of the day, these guidelines are actually structuring and giving guidelines on security, and in addition about all the wireless communications. And sometimes lacking of compliance can bring penalties, legal actions, and so on. But it's very important to make sure that the organization is very close and meeting all the guidelines, because at the end of the day, all these guidelines are in light of real cases that took place. We had a case in a very sensitive organization where a printer that was again against the guidelines. This printer was located in the CEO office, and it was actually creating a huge breach due to the fact that it was not protected. And on the other side, it was connected to the wired network. So it was actually a bridge from the airspace to the most sensitive network. And that was very, very severe event from the organization point of view. And the Harmony IoT found it immediately after this printer was on, and immediately notified the organization. Anna, just to make sure, I have another of 2-3 minutes, right?
It's okay. It's okay. You can continue with your presentation.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So just wanted to show you, to have a quick glance about the solution. The solution is having protectors that are actually passively listening to the airspace with no communication and no integration. We need nothing from the organization in order to make the protection. You can see here the health of the system. Here you can see the visibility. So you have, sorry, due to no activity, I was kicked off. I will just log in again. I will just explain that we see a lot of devices in the area. Some of them are related to the organization. Some of them are not, because we are watching the airspace. As you can saw during the presentation, many of the attacks can come via unmanaged devices and devices that are not even related to the organization. And therefore, we are watching all the airspace, and we are providing full visibility about all the corporate networks and their access points, non-corporate networks, hotspots, devices that are connected to each one of them, and devices that are not connected, but they are in the area. And by doing that, we are actually providing a full visibility about the airspace. And because we are watching each and every entity within the airspace, we are providing a full visibility, and we are detecting suspicious activities on each and every one, like alpha device that I've mentioned during the presentation, that it's on site, and there is no reason for alpha device to be on site. The system is detecting it immediately and raising the flag. Naturally, if one of a new access point that is born and publishing the SSID of the organization and so on, all these events are very, very important from the organization point of view to better to be detected immediately and to be blocked. The solution is not only detecting, we have the ability to mitigate the threats in real time. The mitigation is taking place in real time according to the rules. We know how to mitigate device while we are out of band. We know how to mitigate rules devices without interrupting any other innocent devices. So we are selectively, we know how to mitigate the risk, and we are actually building some kind of a virtual thick wall around the organization and around the suspicious device. And with the three pillars that we are detecting, the visibility, the accurate detection, and the mitigation, we are building some kind of a virtual dome around the airspace of the organization. And by doing that, we are providing a protection against any attempt to create damage via the smart connected devices and IoT attacks, actually. And I will just end with just a few words about, I mentioned that we have another solution named Harmony Purple. Harmony Purple is a vulnerability prioritization tool that actually is scanning for all the entities within the network, finding all the data flows within the organization, and then use a very unique technology that actually is finding attack path scenarios, which meaning that is doing lateral movement from one component to another to find combinations of vulnerabilities that can provide the attacker the ability to reach the holy grails of the organization, the most sensitive assets, and by doing that, actually providing a combination of red team and blue team actions combined in one solution that make the work very effective, because instead of just focusing on thousands of vulnerabilities, just bring and highlight the specific hosts that should be remediated in order to block all the attack path scenarios that were detected. Sometimes it can be a non-important host that needs to be remediated, because the attacker can use it with the lateral movement to move from one component to another and to reach the CRM or any sensitive data within the organization. So that was actually what I planned to do. And if I can just present just with one last minute, I'm sorry for the poor internet. I'm working from home today, but the solution is providing a full visibility about everything that is taking place, and by doing that, providing this security. Thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the day.